fights with passion, and he inspires.
Are you ready for a war?
All right, welcome back to From 8 Arbitration. I'm going to have a short episode today. It's my anniversary, so I'm sneaking back here to do a quick episode before my wife finds out. All right, so next week I will not have one on Sunday. I'll be out of town, going to speak at a convention. I will have one the next Tuesday, okay? And then, of course, Wednesdays have the Lion's Den. And so, quick one tonight. It's my anniversary. Snuck back here. Keep looking out the door to make sure she's not looking for me. But next Sunday we'll not have one. I'll have one the next Tuesday, okay? And, of course, Wednesdays have the Lion's Den, all right? So, wanted to talk about a few things, and then we're going to get into a little bit of LMOU stuff. Now, the CLC did some fantastic education training today, LMOU training. And I know LMOU training is going on across the country, but it was a fantastic day for education for the CLC. Really enjoyed being a part of that. Some high-level education went on. You can find that if you get on Facebook, get on the Concerned Letter Carriers Facebook page. You'll see that training, the video's up. So, some good stuff. I'm going to talk a little bit about one portion of the LMOU, and those are the things that are outside of the items 1 through 22. Outside that, because management's going to attempt to address those things. I'm going to just talk a little bit about that, okay? I'm going to read the minutes of management's headquarter meeting that they had over at LMOU, just a few things that I think are funny and absurd. And then I'm going to read National Arbitrator Mittenthal's decision about bringing those items or those provisions outside of the 22 items up. And he addresses that, okay? So I'm going to talk a little bit about that, and then I'm going to be gone, okay? So I'm going to read a few things before that some people had sent to me. The first one, Ron Speakman on Fed Up put this up. And it says, calling all NALC members and city letter carriers. On Thursday, May 29th, we need you to stand with us in solidarity and strength as we demand justice for our fallen brother, Ray Hodge, a Harlem city letter carrier who was murdered on the job while delivering mail to the community he faithfully served. Ray was more than a postal worker. He was a father, a fiancé, a friend, and a union brother. On January 2nd, 2025, his life was stolen in broad daylight, an unthinkable tragedy that shook our entire postal family. Now, as sentencing approaches, it is time for every carrier, every union member, every advocate to show up and speak out. We owe it to Ray. We owe it to his family. We owe it to every postal worker who risked their life serving this country. Date, Thursday, May 29th. Time, meet at 9 a.m. in front of the courthouse. Sentencing hearing, 9:45 a.m., 13th floor, Part 32. Location, 100 Center Street, New York, New York. In honor of Ray Hodge and to support his family, NALC members and city letter carriers are encouraged to attend the sentencing hearing. Participants are asked to meet at the courthouse at 9 a.m. wearing shirts or carrying signs that call for justice and the maximum sentence for the perpetrator, which has pled guilty to first-degree manslaughter as part of a plea deal offered to them. Come raise your voice with us and be heard as we call on the court to deliver the maximum sentence possible for Ray's killer. Let's pack the courthouse steps with unity, love, and purpose and show support in the courtroom as well. We're asking for those that want to come into the sentencing hearing itself to show up to support to arrive at 9:30 a.m. on the 13th floor so we can be sure to fill up those seats. While this is about showing love and support for Ray and his family, please keep in mind that this is not just about Ray. It's about protecting every one of us who wears that satchel and uniform. Let's remind the justice system that postal workers are not invisible. We demand protection, we demand accountability, and above all, we demand justice for Ray. And so Ron had reached out and wanted me to read that. I said, absolutely, I will, brother. I'll take care of that for you. Another thing that John Murphy had sent me, I'm going to read that. It says, city carriers and other federal workers in Southwest Florida will be rallying at the offices of Senator Rick Scott and Congressman Byron Donalds in Naples, Florida, June 4th at 4:30 p.m. to support anti-privatization resolution H.R. 70S Res 147 and Protect America's Workforce Act H.R. 2550, to oppose drastic and devastating federal retirement reform measures. Please spread the word. Retirees, snowbirds, and other federal workers are encouraged to attend. This is not yet an NALC-sanctioned event. Okay, so told John that I would read that for him. The other day I put out on my Facebook page, I wanted to know all of the podcasts that are going on right now for city letter carriers. And the reason I wanted to know that is because there's so much going on right now with a city letter carrier as far as, and we've talked about this forever on this podcast, as far as management turning their sights on us full bore. I mean, we're under attack more now than my 32 years. I can never remember a time when we're under attack more. And the bad thing is we have the weakest leadership of our union we've ever had, by far. Some are non-existent. The top two are non-existent, complete buffoons. And so then you have, concerns from outside, when people are talking about privatization and things like that. In the city letter carrier, man, we've been abandoned. And I say that over and over and over again. We have been abandoned. Now you have the CLC stepping up, and they're saying, hey, we'll take over this thing, but it'll be a year and a half before we get in there. There's no doubt that the CLC is going to win. That's a foregone conclusion. I think everybody that didn't want to admit it is now having to admit it, that the momentum is too big. The city letter carriers are taking back over this union in 26 when we vote the current administration out. But the bad thing is that management is in a full-on assault on us, a full-on assault. We are nothing to them. We are a scourge to management. And I always say, when people send me things, I always respond and say, we just don't hate them enough. I hate management. We just don't hate them enough. I'm going to read a few things to you, and then I'm going to read the podcasts that are coming out now about city letter carriers. But I want to read just a few things. This was sent to me this week. One says, in my station today marks the official start day of you only have 20 minutes of fixed office time. And the goalpost moved from an hour office time to 45 minutes office time. Thanks, Renfro. And that's exactly right. I will never understand this 20 minutes, and I know that there are people that defend him on that, saying, well, you still have the 33 minutes. It's just it's different now. The 20 minutes, that's just a basement. When you do things, you thought he would have learned from these memos, 1983, when he put these parameters on there, 22 minutes of load time. Now I hear my manager said that the new district directive, well, it's same song, different day, but they're pushing the hour office time again and the 22-minute load time. I went in there yesterday, and was talking about some time I needed off, and he's just shaking his head, and he's like, they're starting that shit again. And I said, what are you talking about? He said, district. He said, they're telling us to enforce the 1 hour office time and 22-minute load times. And I said, are you aware that we just won an hour office time grievance in the city? And he said, well, I guess they're not. I said, the arbitrator paid every carrier $250 because you did it. And they're complaining about money. They're going to come down a week after we get the decision saying we need to enforce the hour office time and the 22-minute load time. That's why I don't care about management saying that they're losing money. I don't listen to that shit because they're too fucking stupid to get out of their own way, and they're going to make arguments that we're losing money. And you got complete fucking buffoons running this place. That's the reason I don't consider them saying we're losing money. We got a devastating decision. I read it last week. Jason Ashley came up and did the case where the arbitrator gave every carrier $250, gave the branch $500. And within a week, they're going to say they're going to mandate the hour office time in the city. Complete buffoonery that we're dealing with. But anyway, we knew that when we said 20 minutes of fixed office time, that this would happen. They will bastardize anything. They're dishonest, disloyal, complete idiots in management. I've never seen a more ignorant workforce than postal management. I just haven't. And I know they listen. I've never seen a more idiotic workforce than y'all in management. If you're listening, and I know you do, y'all are idiots. Complete fucking idiots. And so we knew that this 20 minutes of fixed office time, they're saying that this is for the new route adjustment process that's coming up or whatever. And we said, doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. You put times on things, they're going to abuse it. We said that. We said that in 1983, the memos, the parameters. We said they're going to fuck with us on that. And they did, unlike anything I've ever seen. Here you have this person. In my station today marks the official start day of you only have 20 minutes of fixed office time. One of the only things we had going for us to combat the hour office time. And your dumb fucking president gets in there with management, Tolino, and brings the 33 minutes down to 20 minutes. We vote it down in the TA, and in a stipulated award, he pushes it through with arbitrator Nolan. And now we're stuck with the 20 minutes, even though it's not supposed to pertain to just us normal day carriers that are doing 6-day counts. It's only supposed to pertain to a new joint of process. Here we go. Here we go. Because you have the dumbest motherfucker I've ever seen as the president of this union right now. I have never seen a dumber fucker than him. He continues to put us in the crosshairs with the things that he does. He continues to put the city letter carrier in management's crosshairs with the dumb shit that he does. And his inability to acknowledge that and recognize that and to come back and say, hey, I fucked up on that. With a stationary event, somebody writes them saying, hey, they're kicking the shit out of us right now on these stationary events. What does he say? Sorry, you're inconvenienced. You know, that's the type shit I'm talking about. We knew when they said 20 minutes, this was going to happen. You know what you do? If management says, why don't we reduce it to 20 minutes? You say, yeah, I'm not doing that shit. I'm not going to negotiate time away from my carriers. Well, they still have it. Don't then keep it at 33 minutes then. Well, no, if they still have it, keep it at 33 minutes. If you want to address anything in the M39, it's your handbook. Let's go to arbitration and address it. If you want to make an amendment to the M39 handbook or the M41 handbook or any provisions of any manuals, let's take it forward. I'm not going to agree to it. But this guy is so hell-bent on having his name on something that he changed something. He's fucking us over. It's all about fucking pride, just like my dumb fucking business agent. It's about pride to these motherfuckers. It's not about the city letter carrier. To me, I go in and I sit down in front of management, Tolino or whoever the fuck it's going to be, and they say, we're going to reduce. I'm not doing it. Well, you hadn't heard me out. I don't care. I don't care. You say you're going to reduce something. I'm not listening to it. Let's just reduce the fixed office. I'm not doing that. I'm not discussing a reduction of anything because y'all can't act right. Y'all can't act right. If I could trust y'all to do one fucking thing right, I might listen to you. But I don't trust you. You've proven over and over and over again not to. So there's that one. Then this came in the other day. An official information request from management to us. It's to the steward. It says information request. Has the date. To the steward. I request that the following documents and or witnesses be made available to us in order to properly identify whether or not a grievance does exist, and if so, their relevancy to the grievance. In addition, I request any and all evidence, including steward notes and witness statements with regard to this case. Please provide this information as soon as administratively possible. And it's got the name of the dumbass manager of customer service that wrote it. So here's a manager sending an information request to us, to the steward. I request that the following documents and or witnesses be made available to us in order to properly identify whether or not I have a grievance. whether a grievance does exist, and if so, the relevancy to the grievance. In addition, I request any and all evidence, including steward notes and witness statements, with regard to this case. Can you believe that dumbass shit? I would throw that in the trash. How about what we got here? Oh, okay. Right in the trash. Hey, it's in the trash. But, here's another. We have been told multiple times to cut mail and get packages delivered and be off the clock by 5:30, 10 hours. They have not been reporting the mail we have been bringing back. We have requested 1571s and got told that we have not done that since the 1980s. Was told we need to do an RFI to get that info. Local union is looking into what to do. Anyone else having this? Looking in what to do? You file a grievance. I request a 1571, you need to give it to me. If you don't give me one, it's a grievance. That's what you do. And then you write down on a piece of paper, I brought back 3 trays of mail. Management's instructions. And I'll take it to them and I'll say, hey, until we get the 1571s, will you sign this for me? No, that's a grievance. That's a grievance. The other day, somebody sent me some discipline. This is what pisses me off too. They sent me some discipline, and what it was this instruction. Bring all mail back, cut all mail, and deliver packages, be back by 8 o'clock. Cut all mail, deliver all your packages, be back at 8 o'clock. Everybody's seen that on social media. Everybody has seen it. So the carrier brings the mail back. Do you know what management does? They write him up for bringing the mail back. He tells them, I've got this scanner message. Cut the mail, deliver the packages, bring back at 8. That's what I did. I cut this mail, delivered the packages, came back at 8. Gave him a letter of warning. Gave him a letter of warning for bringing the mail back. Per their instructions. Do you know what the resolution was? Time served. Time served. We had the documentation in there. We've got to do fucking better. Management's going to tell us to cut the mail, deliver packages until 8, and come back. That's what we do, and they discipline us, and we agree to the discipline. We are so far behind management. They are kicking the ever-loving shit out of us right now. I've never seen it this bad in my time. In my 32 years, I've never seen it this bad. The sheer incompetence of management. Bringing entire routes back, just deliver packages, bring all the mail back. When is somebody going to get a hold of that? When is somebody from up above going to get a hold of that? We're not delivering the mail, which is what we do. That's what we're in the business of doing. But we're cutting routes all over the country. Bring the mail back, just deliver the packages. And that's what we do. And then we get disciplined for it. Now you got people saying we're not going to give you a 1571 curtail slip for doing it. Yet they're disciplining us for it. Where's our union at right now? Can anybody tell me that? Where's the union at right now? We've got 2 lost buffoons at the top. These are the 2 most worthless motherfuckers I've ever seen at the top of any organization. And by God, they're over ours. What's the chances of that happening? Well, it's 100%. It's 100%. We got the 2 weakest, dumbest motherfuckers I've ever seen running this union right now. Renfro and Barner. Where is our fucking union? Huh? We can run all over the fucking country talking about fight like hell something. Your carriers, brother, are being buried down here on the workroom floor with complete buffoons, with incompetence I've never seen. Where in the fuck are y'all? Where in the fuck is our union? You realize, let me tell y'all something if y'all don't know. We have people going out delivering mail. which is what we do. That's our business, is delivering the mail. Going out to deliver the mail, management will send out a scanner message. Cut the mail, deliver the packages, be back at a certain time. Did you ever think you would hear that? Hey, look, don't deliver the mail. What? Don't deliver the mail, just deliver packages. Where is our union at with that? What are we doing? Where is just this all over the fucking media? I tell you what, when I'm executive vice president, I'll be the biggest snitch you've ever seen on the Postal Service. They're going to hate my fucking guts. I'm going to have whoever I can get a hold of, put in my pocket as far as the media, I'm going to be snitching on these motherfuckers all the time. I'm going to be, until they correct their shit. Anyway, I'll read this again. We've been told multiple times to cut mail and get packages delivered and be off the clock by 5:30. That's 10 hours. They're not even working 12 hours. And they'll probably say some kind of window of operation, dispatch of value, but we took the caps off the 12 and 60. We took the caps off the 12 and 60, but they're probably going to say some kind of dispatch of value. Then why in the fuck would you take the caps off the 12 and 60? Why would you give us the opportunity to work 24 hours a day and holler window of operation, dispatch of value? Just keep the caps back on that shit. Yet in the latest negotiations, management, Tolino, they didn't put in anything, make any kind of argument about a window of operation or dispatch of value. So if you didn't do that, obviously you're not interested in a window of operation or dispatch of value if you didn't argue it. But here you have some dumb fuck saying, cut the mail and get packages delivered, be off the clock by 5:30. They have not been reporting the mail we have been bringing back. We have requested 1571s and got told that we haven't done that since the 1980s. Was told we need to do an RFI, request for information, to get that info. To get what info? A 1571? Write it on a blank piece of paper. Write that on a blank piece of paper. That's what I do. You don't have 1571? That's a grievance because you're supposed to have all forms available to me. That's somewhere, ain't it? Like in the M41 maybe? Or maybe it's in Article 41. So somewhere. Shit, that you're supposed to have all the forms available to me. Then you got, need to put an RFI in for it. What? But get you a piece of paper. Put it on there. I brought back 3 trays of mail per management's instructions. First class, second class, bulk rate. Have management sign it. They won't sign it, file a grievance. That's what you do. Somebody should be getting involved with that. I don't know what we're doing. Here's another one. NELC, this is us, NELC facilitator at Step B, training, telling people to resolve a 14-day suspension to a 7-day when the case file is missing the elements of discipline relied upon. No admission and undisputed facts conceding their existence, and no plausible explanation for a parking brake not being set is an admission of guilt and meets management's burden. We were in a bad way. I agree with you. I agree with. So now we have NELC facilitators at Step B training. Step B training. If you get a 14-day suspension, resolve it to a 7-day, even if management doesn't put in the elements of past discipline. If I go to arbitration, the first thing I'm going to ask for is, where's the letter of warning? It's not in the file. Where's the 7-day? It's not in the file. Okay. So you just stated that they had prior discipline, but it's nowhere to be found. That's getting thrown out. But here we have facilitators at Step B training telling people to resolve a 14-day suspension to a 7-day, even when the past discipline, the elements of discipline relied upon, are not in the file. Again, when I become EVP, I'm firing everybody that does that shit. All of them are being fired. I'm done with this bullshit. I've been bitching about this for 2 fucking years. The incompetence, the cowardice that we have in our union right now. The CLC has 3 fronts we're having to address. Completely revamping the NALC. firing every fucking body up there that's dealing with this cowardice ass bullshit. DRT, facilitators, all of them motherfuckers are gone. All of them. I will not work with cowardice, period. I'm not doing it. I will not work amongst cowards. I am so sick and tired of my union. Cowardly. Refusing to fight. Damn, I said fight. Whatever you do, fight. Whatever you do, fight. Win or lose, fight. You don't tell people to concede shit. Hell, we got a president doing that shit. He concedes every fucking thing he can. You got fucking Barner conceding his draws off to Renfro, then he got all of his shit taken away from him. But then you got facilitators. Hey, if you get a 14-day suspension, even if they don't put in there the elements of past discipline, just settle it because they didn't have their handbrake up. That's an admission of guilt. What in the fuck? Here's another one. Talk to the management side of the DRT from my district. I don't want to say what district, as they give info, and definitely said the Postal Service has a manager who is just listening to the podcast being put out. Good. Tell him to go fuck himself. If you got enough time to just sit around and listen, they need to fire you. If that's your job, to just sit around and listen to podcasts all day, that motherfucker needs to be fired. Says the orders over every telecon to the DRT teams is to impasse every cease and desist and escalated remedy. Even if they make sense, and the case will be obviously won by the union at arbitration, they are not allowed to do anything but impasse. Said the system is irrevocably fucked. They used to get shit canned if the case is settled or less than 50%. It's currently 14% settled. So their directives are to flood the DRT and to flood arbitration so that we will do what we've always done, concede the cease and desist. You'll see pre-arb sessions now where they are wholesale these things. For that stupid ass language, will comply, shall comply, please comply. My God, we beg you to comply. If we could please ask you to comply. It's the most cowardly shit I've ever seen. And it's because management has learned to bitch slap us and we have not done so in return. Management has learned to jam the system, and we're too stupid and pathetic and cowardly to come back on them. I've always said, meet these motherfuckers in the street, man. Meet these motherfuckers head on in the street. Impasse and everything? Good. Impasse it. We'll see you in arbitration. You saw what Mr. Ashley got us here in Nashville. The arbitrator hit that motherfucker up for $250 per carrier and $500 to the union. Send them up. Let's go to arbitration. Get your advocates ready. But that's where we're at. Here's another one. Hey, just wondering if you have gotten any word on some new way that they are documenting stationary events. My supervisor showed me some template that they had training on this week, and I think she called it 4 square. It's 4 blocker is what it's called. It's 4 blocker. Think she called it 4 square, even though there were many more than 4 squares that had to be completed when they're claiming we have a stationary event. Pretty much documenting absolutely everything about the day, beginning with office time, loading time, where our break is, and absolutely everything. Just another way to harass the carrier. A nice time for them to start doing this crap as we're getting into hot weather and we need to take time to cool off. Just wondering if you had heard of anything. I've not heard of that. Not heard of that yet. I'm sure it's coming. But again, we're under attack as city letter carriers. They've spent more money doing stationary events, fucking with us over stationary events than anything else. You remember 2 years ago, we started this shit when these memos 1983 came out. They started that shit. These metrics, stationary events. Because we have a president who's the dumbest motherfucker I've seen. I've seen a lot of dumb motherfuckers in my day. I really have. I worked at the jail. There was a lot of dumb motherfuckers up there. There was a lot of them. He's dumber than them. He's a dumb fuck. Here's the problem. He was not one of us. He was not one of us long enough. People want to talk about experience. You need experience to be at that level. We voted a motherfucker in who has none. No experience. He has no experience on this floor. He's got more experience at National than he did as a city letter carrier. That should tell you something. And he's a young boy. Just a child. He's got more time at National than he did on the floor. And because of that, he thinks nationally. He works with people in suits across the way, and they shake each other's hands and have coffee together and come up with bullshit that to them sound good, but to the letter carrier it buries us. He doesn't understand who we are. He does not understand the workroom floor. He's not been here. He's not been in these battles long enough to understand that what you write, what you sign, what you may put on a piece of paper may get turned around and fuck up the city letter carrier. It may just do that. But this dumb motherfucker is too fucking stupid and inexperienced on this floor to realize the shit that he does. Like when you put on a piece of paper that both parties can take a scanner and watch the city letter carrier and then question them based off of what they see. Who in the fuck thought that was a good idea? To open up that Pandora's box. Who would have ever thought that would be put on a piece of paper? Something that we have fought against for so fucking long. 134 of the M39 handbook. Making management get off their fat ass and come up there on the street and watch us and see us doing something wrong. We conceded that. Motherfuckers don't get up off their fat ass to do nothing now except go take a shit. That's it. Or to go get another drink and another bag of Funyuns. That's it. We have done that. We did that. Because we have a president so fucking incompetent. What did he tell you? You're inconvenienced. You're inconvenienced. Management can sit at that table and spy on y'all and harass y'all and berate y'all and belittle y'all and create one of the most toxic environments I've ever seen. That's an inconvenience to my people. That's a president saying that. That would be a response from management. If I went in there to my manager and said, hey, all this shit going on the workroom floor, well, I'm sorry y'all inconvenienced. That sounds like some shit they'd say. I didn't know I was going to rant today, but hell, let's get into it. Might as well. Here's another one. We've already had our OIC tell us the 12 and 60 rule will no longer exist due to the new contract, claiming Article 3, Section F gives them the power to mandate as necessary, and that the new overtime rules mean that there will no longer be a grievance, as we are paid automatically. If this man cannot be asked to read, nor can upper management be asked to hire competent, literate people into positions of leadership, then be prepared to fight this. I will not have my rights dictated and curtailed to me by management, sycophant, who needs to get on a step stool for me to look down on him. Also, thanks, Brian. But, yeah. And there's so much miscommunication going on right now about the Article 8 changes. Halfway don't blame management because nobody understands what this shit is hardly. You know, hell, I've had more people reach out to me about the new Article 8 changes than I have anything else. Because it's so fucking complicated. My manager is heavily enforcing the 20-minute office time. I thought it was for route adjustments and doesn't actually create a new standard. Can someone please send me some language either refuting or proving this? There it is again. My manager is heavily enforcing the 20-minute office time. What did I tell you was going to happen when that came out? I said, watch. They're fixing to do with that what they did with these memos, these parameters. Watch and see. Do y'all know why they do that? Because we have a dumb fucker as president, who cannot get out of there fast enough. He's the most dangerous thing that's ever happened to the city letter carrier craft. And that's saying something. That's saying something. He's the most dangerous thing that's ever happened to this craft, is that dumb fuck president we've got. He just doesn't learn. Here's a scanner. Mr. So-and-so said if you bring any mail back, you'll be placed on emergency placement immediately on tomorrow. Keep that and put it in your file, because you're going to win just based off of that. First off, they're already telling you what they're going to do. And second, the damn sure ain't going to be immediate. But I'll read it again. Mr. So-and-so said, if you bring back any mail, you'll be placed on emergency placement immediately on tomorrow. And this person says, was given a letter of warning just 2 days ago for failure to follow instructions. Instructions being, be backing off the clock by 8:30 with all mail delivered. Today I got hit with this. So that's where we're at. I told you about the individual who brought the mail back because he was instructed to do so and then got disciplined. Here's another gentleman saying the same thing. He got disciplined when he brought the mail back. So I put out the other day, what are the podcasts out there right now for city letter carriers? Let me read these to y'all. These are the podcasts out there for city letter carriers, okay? On the Workroom Floor with Cole Billups and Elliot Simmons. On the Workroom Floor. Code Light Blue with Michael Rivera. Code Light Blue with Michael Rivera. The Tallest Nail with J Ma. The Tallest Nail. You got CCA Corner with Mallory and Cole. You got The Lion's Den with that guy named Corey every Wednesday. You got the Fight Like Hell podcast from the dynamic duo. Classes of Mail with Alan Gigax. Next Generation Carriers, which I've been on a couple of times. Fed Up with Ron Speakman. You Are the Current Resident, Some Bootlickers. The Comfort Stop with Rick Rock. Now, if y'all have not listened to The Comfort Stop with Rick Rock, y'all got to listen to that. That dude is out there. He is hysterical, the shit that he does. He will have a huge following. The Comfort Stop with Rick Rock. He knows how to do his shit, man. Now, all these are great. All these are really good. But that dude is different. The Comfort Stop with Rick Rock. Check that one out. The Postal Stand-Up. The Postal Stand-Up. Delivering Solidarity with Fred Woodley. Delivering Solidarity. The Shielded Post. Johnny Cash Gardner. The Shielded Post. Johnny Cash Gardner. My man, Hot House with Richie Ray. Hot House with Richie Ray. Y'all know how I feel up, my man. I love that guy. United We Scan. United We Scan. Now there's Next Generation Carriers. Parcels of Knowledge with Rossville Wrecking Ball. Or Rossville Wrecking Ball. Parcels of Knowledge. NELC Branch 458 podcast. Please Scan Flats Then Letters podcast. Please Scan Flats Then Letters podcast. Those are ones that were just written down. There may be more. And I wanted to know that because of this. The city letter carrier is in the worst shape that it's ever been in. The city letter carrier craft. It's in the worst shape that it's ever been in. We are broke as a craft. We are getting pummeled as a craft by incompetence on both sides. I've never seen the incompetence like it is right now from the Postal Service. And I damn sure ain't seen the incompetence I have seen from the union. I just spent 40 minutes reading to y'all just things I received in a few days going on across this country. And we have no answers from our union. Do you know who it is that's standing the fuck up for the city letter carrier? The city fucking letter carrier is. That's who it is. Do you know who's standing up for us? Us! We are. It's the city fucking letter carrier that's standing up. I told y'all. They will not see what's coming when we vote these motherfuckers out next year. The city letter carrier has had enough of this bullshit on both sides. So what did we do? We took matters into our own hands. And we say, we will step up and educate our own. That's what we will always do. We will always protect our own. We pay a union to do it, they're fucking us over. We work for a company who's incompetent and full of ignorance. So the city letter carrier said, abandon be damned. We will unite against management. We will unite against our own union. We will stand up together. We will educate ourselves. We will put our arms around each other. And we will go through this together. That's the reason I wanted to say, who's doing podcasts right now? All of those. Why? Because people are sick and fucking tired of being sick and fucking tired. And we have rose the fuck up. That's why. We have rose the fuck up. Had a motherfucker tell us the other day to shut up, sit down. Fuck all of y'all. The city letter carrier has stood the fuck up, brother. They have rose the fuck up, sister. We are not going anywhere. Wait and see this pummeling that happens next year in this vote when the CLC takes over this motherfucker. The city letter carrier is fixing to be in the driver's seat of this motherfucker, and we're going to roll the fuck up. And we're going to say, get in. You know why? Y'all know why. We're going motherfuckering in this bitch, that's why. Don't ever count us out, man. You tell me it's an inconvenience. You tell me I'm wanting a pound of flesh. You say management's just showing discrepancies when they falsify shit on us. And you think we're going to sit down and take that bitch? You got a TA that pissed on us. You think we're going to take that bitch just because you got in there with this grand scheme with Tolino to fuck us over and put that motherfucker through? You think we're going to sit down and take that, you dumb fuck? All of y'all have us fucked up. All of y'all have us fucked up. Wait. Just wait. Wait and see. Hell, it's my fucking anniversary. I'm in here 45 minutes. I ain't got to what I'm talking about yet. Damn. Oh, I'm in a good mood though, man. Motherfuckers underestimated my people again. Motherfuckers have underestimated my fucking people. I've been doing this too fucking long, man. 32 fucking years I've been doing this. I knew what was happening. I could see it coming. I was telling people, wait and see. My people are standing up. There is a movement unlike anything ever seen in this union. There is a movement right now unlike anything ever seen in this union. Even those detractors, even those that will look at us and say, y'all are gimmicky with your shirts and your lines and shit, even those are saying, y'all are fixing to win this thing. People that were against me initially, when I was saying all that with the CLC, you're running with the CLC, all that shit, are now saying, sending messages, y'all are going to win this thing, aren't you? Y'all are fixing to win this thing, aren't you? You fucking ain't right. You're fucking a right. In a fucking landslide. Do you know why? Because the city letter carrier, baby. Light blue. Light blue in this motherfucker. Light blue in this motherfucker. That's why. We fixing to run roughshod on some motherfuckers. Wait and see. Wait and see. All right, I'm going to touch on this here and then I've got to go. Shit. I'm going to be in so much trouble. Somebody sent me management's training, and I wanted to read just a little bit of it to you. And two things. When you talk about LMOU, and I'll read it for you, the language, so that you understand what management is up against. What management is up against in LMOUs, local memorandums of understandings, okay? This is what they're up against. It's on page 30-5, and I talked a little bit about this today on the Zoom. What may be impassed The interest arbitrator who determined the provisions of the 1994 National Agreement imposed certain changes in the impasse rules for local implementation. Under those changed rules, management gained a limited right to bring any of the 22 listed bargaining items to impasse. The rules are, in short, either party may impasse an item. Only a subject within the Article 30's 22 items may be impassed. And here's the most important one. Where management submits a proposal to arbitration to change an existing local memo provision, it has the burden of establishing that continuation of the existing provision would represent an unreasonable burden to the Postal Service. There is no such burden on the union when it seeks to change a local memorandum. I'll read that again. Where management submits a proposal to arbitration to change an existing local memo provision, it has the burden of establishing that continuation of the existing provision would represent an unreasonable burden to the Postal Service. There is no such burden on the union when it seeks to change a local memorandum. So there's two things there that you need to understand. Only a subject within Article 30's 22 items may be impassed. Okay, so when management talks about we're going to look outside the 22 items, we're going to address those things outside the 22 items, and I'm going to read just a little bit to you, hear what they're talking about. Those things can't be impassed. I wouldn't even address them. They can't be impassed to arbitration. Only items 1 through 22 can be impassed. So here's some of management's training. I'm just going to read a little bit of this to you. And then I'm going to read some of their notes, some of the minutes, and then I'm going to read this decision, and I'll be done. It's already too long. I'm in trouble. Unreasonable burden. Now, they have an unreasonable burden. We do not. That's contractual. That's actually in Article 30. I just read it to you. If you are to challenge an item, now this is management. Now, this is not us. This is management's training. If you are to challenge an item due to an unreasonable burden, you must be able to establish this unreasonable burden beyond just claiming such a burden. You must demonstrate that the item carries a disproportionate cost, significant inefficiency, or operational disruption, imposes excessive cost that are significantly above a national norm or other offices without justifiable cause, severely restricts operational flexibility with respect to scheduling, staffing, or delivery logistics in a way that hinders service in terms of reliability or performance. Now, these are things that management is telling management they must show. First off, headquarters is initiating this, just like headquarters is initiating the 6-day count. They've taken over everything. Supervisors, managers, postmasters, they're just puppets on a string. Headquarters dictates everything now. 6-day counts, opening up these LMOUs. So headquarters is telling your postmaster that they have an unreasonable burden. Your postmaster is oblivious to any of this stuff. They didn't want to open up any of these. But headquarters is saying, hey, y'all got an unreasonable burden and we're going to tell you what it is, right? So your local postmaster had nothing to do with this. This is coming from headquarters. But they're telling them if it severely restricts operational flexibility with respect to scheduling, staffing, or delivery logistics. Now, we don't control staffing, right? Management under Article 3 controls staffing, hiring, okay? So they're putting that onus on us. If what you're doing restricts staffing, the union has no control over that. Or delivery logistics, we have no control on that. In a way that hinders service in terms of reliability or performance. Now think about that. In a way that hinders service in terms of reliability or performance. And you have scanner messages going out saying, hey, cut off delivery and be back at a certain time. Be back at 5:30. Cut off all your mail and be back at 5:30. Just deliver packages. Cut all your mail off and just deliver packages and be back at 8. And they're going to say, if anything that they're doing, if it hinders service in terms of reliability or performance, I'd put every scanner message I had in there saying, this is what you're talking about. Now, you're going to say something in the LMOU is hindering the service in terms of reliability or performance. Y'all are the ones who are hindering service by telling us to cut mail and be back at 5:30. if it causes measurable inefficiency. Things such as consistently leading to missed delivery standards, again, with these scanner messages, overstaffing situations, or underutilization of resources, conflicts with national policy, creates safety or liability risks that are not manageable through regular and normal oversight. And one of their examples was a station that has lost a lot of routes. And this is what it says. Unreasonable burden example. There's a local provision that requires that 18 carriers be allowed off during the choice vacation period. The delivery unit has 156 routes, 6 AUX, and 150 full-time city carriers, FTCC. Fast forward to present day, there are now 87 full-time city carrier routes and 90 routes, 3 AUX. 18 carriers was 12% of 150. 18 is nearly 21% of 87 now. Providing coverage for 18 carriers from a pool of 150 is much different than a pool of 87. You may be able to claim that this represents a significant and unnecessary cost. 150 routes times 8 hours equals 1,200 hours, plus 24 hours, 6 AUX times 4 hours. 1,224 hours, 132 carriers. 150 minus 18 equals 9.27 hours. 87 routes, now the first one was 150 routes, now it's 87 routes, but 87 routes times 8 hours equals 696 hours, plus 12 hours, that's 3 AUX at 4 hours. 708 hours divided by 69 carriers, that's 87 minus 18, that's 10 hours and 26 minutes, resulting in a 10% increase in overtime. 132 carriers paid once, hour at the regular overtime rate, 38 then, equals $5,000 a day, $1,509,816 a year. 69 carriers paid 2 hours at the regular overtime rate, 44 now, equals $6,000 a day, 1,827,672 hours, resulting in a 27% increase in costs associated with just wages. Now, if they try to put that in there, I'm going to make them prove it. I'm going to make them prove every single second of that. If they put in a chart saying this is what we've been doing, prove it through numbers and figures, not through this thing that headquarters sent you. That is only a product or existence based on outdated provisions in an LMOU negotiated years ago. 150 then, 87 now. It reduces the Postal Service ability to allocate resources where needed most. They're going to have to prove that beyond a reasonable doubt. Okay? Clear and convincingly. I'm going to make them prove that. Because it has to be an unreasonable burden, not just a burden. Not just an inconvenience. It has to be an unreasonable burden. It can be a burden. It just cannot be an unreasonable burden. There is a difference. They're going to have to show an unreasonable burden to do away with an LMOU provision. And I'm going to make them document it down to the second. Negatively impact service. Then the last dispatch of value being at 1,700, with carriers starting when the mail is ready at 750, places carriers off at 1,600 or 1,700 with 1 hour of overtime, meeting the last dispatch of value. Now, we've done several episodes on dispatch of value, window of operation. I'm not even going to entertain that when we're talking in an LMOU. I'm not even going to entertain that. And if it goes to arbitration, we'll be able to document where carriers consistently go over a dispatch of value, I'm sure. But you have the new Article 8 language. They took off the caps on the 12 and 60. What does that mean? That both parties anticipated us working over 12 and 60 hours. So, I'm going to say that would be the first thing I argue on a dispatch of value or window of operation. Under the new agreement, you took the caps off of 1260. Now we're not even getting 1 hour of overtime. We're not even working 9 hours. And you took the caps off of 12 and 60. That's an argument I'm going to make. Now then, the last dispatch of value being at 1630, with carriers starting when the mail is ready, At 8 o'clock, places carriers off at 16:30, after last dispatch of value, or 1800, well after last dispatch of value with 2 hours of overtime. So they can move us back to 7:30, or they can move us to 7. Right? But I'm not going to concede anything. I'm going to make them fight for that. I will not concede any of it, because they're going to have to show that it's an unreasonable burden. Right? Not just a burden, not an inconvenience, not a regret. I regret signing that those years ago. That's not an unreasonable burden. Unreasonable burden, example of statement and support of the burden. This is what they're telling them to do. Statement of claim. History of the provision, and that's what we've got to do. We're going to go back and talk to all of our ex-presidents, our past presidents. If we have something in the LMOU that you don't understand, go back and talk to them, and they'll be able to explain it to you, why this happened. Get a good statement from them, okay? Operational impact. Make sure that it's not just an email sent to you that there's an operational impact. They're going to have to show data. They're going to have to show volumes of data, okay? Resource allocation where applicable. Comparative standards where appropriate, and the conclusion. I'm going to read a few of these notes to you, and then this arbitrator's decision, and I'm going to be gone. Damn, it's going to be 2 hours again. And these are the minutes of this meeting. The PowerPoint I was just reading off of, they had the minutes of the meeting, and they were recorded and they were printed out. And I'm going to read just a few of them to you. And this is what the letter is going to look like right here. And they're talking about the letter that's going to be handed out to branch presidents. And like I said, your district managers of labor relations already have this letter. They should be providing it to you to provide to the union. I don't know exactly how they're going to do that or how that's going to look. They may provide it to you, in an email, or they may provide it to you when you attend the actual training for Article 30 in local negotiations. Now, there's going to be a survey that's going to be sent out to you all for city delivery offices, where a couple questions will be asked, and then you'll also be required to upload a copy of the notifications that you're sending with the intent to open up the LMOU negotiations. Every city delivery office, should open up those LMOU negotiations, and that's the reason why we're requesting this notification letter. So why I wanted to read that to you is, headquarters is telling your station manager, postmaster, that they have an unreasonable burden. Your postmaster wants nothing to do with this. They're being forced to do this. To me, that would be an argument of mine. I would put in these minutes. And I say, look, the Postal Service is determining that the postmaster is having an unreasonable burden. They're making them do this. To me, that's an argument. I'd make it. Review the items in the LMOU that you wish to discuss based on a belief or position that the subject matter should not be included in the local Memorandum of Understanding. Because, number one, it is not one of the 22 items outlined in Article 30, or number two, it is inconsistent and in conflict with the new agreement. I'll read that last part again. Number one, it is not one of the 22 items outlined in Article 30. They're going to go after these things that are not within the 22 items. Okay, and I'll talk about one of these things in a minute. But these things you have in your LMOUs that are outside the 22 items, management is going to start attacking those. And that's what this episode is for. But there may be things that are outside and not, outside of those items. And we call those an unreasonable burden. Develop your proposal specifying the addition to the current language or the deletion of the existing language on your basis for that rationale or position. If you're going to challenge an existing provision that is not in conflict or inconsistent with the new agreement, but rather is an unreasonable burden, number one, assess if you have sufficient documentation to prove this claim. And when I say documentation, I mean all of it, as much as you possibly can. So they're telling them how hard it is to prove an unreasonable burden. I'm talking about tangible pieces of paper you can put in front of someone's face. Your words are not going to be enough here. We could deem anything as unreasonable, but we have to be able to prove it with tangible documentation. We have an LMOU out there somewhere floating around where the postmaster is required to buy pizza for the office on every... These things are so misspelled, I'm having a hard time reading it because whoever's doing this, I guess a computer's doing this dictating, because it says, we have an LMOU out there somewhere floating around where the postmaster is required to buy pizza for the office on every on pay period Friday, every other Friday. Now, I know motherfucker ain't talking that stupid, but so they have a pizza there to buy pizza on every payday, every other Friday. It has been in there for years and years and years. I mean, that to me sounds like it is unreasonable. So again, they're telling people what's unreasonable to start addressing these things. Okay, we're paying for it. We're not getting any work for it. These motherfuckers. We're paying for it. We're stopping people from doing work while they eat pizza. That shows you what they think about us at headquarters, the ones who's signing things with this dumb fuck president we have. How little they think of us. You had somebody way back when say, hey, every other Friday on payday, I'm going to buy pizza for y'all. Probably a good manager. We'll put that in the LMOU because y'all are kicking ass in here. So the least I can do for y'all is buy pizza for you. You got this dumb motherfucker saying, we're not getting any work for it. We're paying for it. We're stopping people from doing work while they eat pizza. Ungrateful bastard. We're not going to get pizza anymore on Fridays. You're going to have to bargain to get that out of there. Okay, so they may say, you know what, we agree no pizzas on Fridays anymore, but instead of pizza, we want donuts. I'm not doing that. I'm going to say, motherfucker, we're going to eat pizza. Because it's outside the 22 items. That can't be impassed. I want my pizza. Okay, and then you're going to have to come up with something and counter-propose that and so on and so forth. Remember, make sure that anytime you're talking about stuff like this or you think you've got something, make sure that you're conformed with labor relations. We don't want to put things in here that are going to affect you, you know, even worse down the road, or they're going to be in conflict with other language of the contract. If no agreement is reached, understand that it's an extremely heavy burden that you're carrying to a hearing. You're not carrying shit into a hearing. If it's outside those 22 items, it can't be impassed. I'll read that again. If no agreement is reached, understand it's an extremely heavy burden that you will carry into a hearing. If you are to challenge an item due to an unreasonable burden, you must be able to establish this unreasonable burden beyond just claiming such a burden. Like I said, your words are never going to be enough. You must demonstrate that the item carries a disproportionate cost. $150 every 2 weeks for pizza seems a little ridiculous. Now, these motherfuckers have dinners, have parties all the time, catered. Every 2 weeks, one day, every 2 weeks, you're going to buy us pizza, and this motherfucker says it seems a little ridiculous. They're always at parties, at functions. They're always going down celebrating something. But us, peasants, $150 every 2 weeks seems a little ridiculous. I bet it does to that dumb fucker. Significant inefficiency. You're pulling people off the floor. Significant inefficiency. They're going to have to prove significant inefficiency or operational disruption. I think you have all three there, but you have to be able to document it. Imposes excessive costs that are significantly above a national norm or other offices without justifiable cause. Severely restricts operational flexibility with respect to scheduling, staffing, or delivery logistics in a way that hinders service in terms of real reliability or performance. Causes measurable inefficiency. Things such as consistently leading to missed delivery standards. They're going to have to prove that beyond a reasonable doubt. Overstaffing situations or underutilization of resources. They're going to have to prove that beyond a reasonable doubt. Conflicts with national policy. Creates safety or liability or risks that are not manageable through regular and normal oversight. Again, all these things are important. They don't mean anything unless you have documents to prove so. I know that most of you have an LMOU and have read your LMOU. You're going to find a part of your LMOU that discusses how many carriers are allowed to take annual leave during the choice vacation period. It could be a percentage. It could be a hardline number. In this case, this office is a hardline number, okay? So Several years ago, they had 156 routes and 150 full-time carriers. Now, he's back to this thing here. During the LMOU negotiation, management agreed that they would allow 18 carriers off during the choice vacation period. They had 150 full-time carriers, little to no effect on the delivery unit. Fast forward to present day, which is now we're going into LMOU negotiations again. That same office is reduced to 87 routes, 90 routes, and 87 full-time city carriers. It's a big difference. We're talking about almost half the amount of carriers. But the LMOU still says that 18 carriers off. Okay, big difference. When you take 18 out of 87 and when you take it out of 150, it's now become an unreasonable burden for this office to allow 18 carriers to be off during prime time vacation. And they're going to have to prove that with documentation. So they're going to have to go through the process of proving that it's an unreasonable burden. They're going to have to show how much it costs monetarily, how much more overtime do we use, how much is going to cost us, how are we going to be able to get all the mail delivered. Do we even have enough staffing to do that with 18 people off? Okay, how does it negatively impact your service? What time are your carriers getting back? And so all these things they're doing, I'm just going to request documentation to prove all of them that they're wrong. When you're talking about how much mail is delivered, I'm going to request all the undelivered mail reports. During this entire period of time, you don't have any. All the mail gets delivered every day. You may have some overtime issues, but hey, overtime issues alone is not an unreasonable burden. What time are your carriers getting back? Is all the mail making it on the truck at the end of the night? All these things are important and need to be documented tangibly. Now, as far as the last dispatch, the mail on the truck, they are now telling offices to leave that last dispatch at the station, and it'll go out in the morning. They're not even taking the last dispatch out. So if that's one of these things, I'd put that in there. How did it get in there? What precipitated the actual language being your LMOU? Why were they, did we end up having to buy pizza every other Friday? Try to find those things out. I'll stick with the pizza thing. We're taking carriers off the floor for them to eat pizza every morning. Well, that's not true. You just said it was every other Friday. That's on top of their 2 10-minute breaks and their 30-minute lunch that they get each and every day. So we're having unproductive work, say for another 10 to 15 minutes a day. It's called being thankful, you sorry son of a bitch. It's called management's appreciating what we do. Number one, additional longer wash-up periods, and I'm going to finish up with this, but I thought this was funny. Contract specifies, that carriers to have reasonable wash-up time. Your LMOU, you may actually put a number on me. I've seen LMOUs give 2 minutes. I've seen LMOUs give 5 minutes. I've seen a reason one where it gave 10 minutes of wash-up time before lunch and before they went home each day. That's 20 minutes of non-productive work. To me, that seems a little unreasonable. I don't know about you guys, but I've never washed my hands for 10 minutes any time in my life straight, and to do that twice in a day, same day. Well, the reason you ain't had to wash your hands, bitch, is because you don't do anything all day. That's the reason you don't have to wash your hands. We work. When I pick up a tub of mail, my hands are going to be dirtier than your sorry asses from holding a pen all damn day. So that's what they think of y'all when you read their notes. That's what they think of you. A manager that signed into effect that they're going to give us a pizza party every other Friday saying, hey, I just want to tell you I appreciate you. Now this motherfucker says what? Well, they're not working. They're eating pizza on us. And washing hands. I've never washed my hands for 10 minutes. There's not a doubt in my mind you ain't never washed your hands for 10 minutes, motherfucker, because you ain't never done shit. When we talk about those things outside the 22 items, all right, then they're talking about, hey, get ready for arbitration on those things outside the 22 items. In the JCAM, it talks about National Arbitrator Mittenthal's decision. So I pulled up the decision, and I'm going to read just a little bit of it to you. Okay, it's a short decision, but it will help you when management attempts to go outside the 22 items. Okay? I'm not even entertaining that discussion. says background. This grievance involves the scope of the Postal Service's newly won right to invoke the impasse arbitration procedures of Article 30. Local implementation. Of the 1990 National Agreement, the parties agree that the Postal Service may resort to interest arbitration to challenge an existing provision of a local Memorandum of Understanding, LMOU, which deals with subject matter within the 22 enumerated items in Article 30B. The Postal Service insists it is entitled to make the same challenge against an existing provision of an LMOU which is outside the 22 enumerated items. The unions disagree. Now, this is the same argument they're making right here. And the thing that I just read you, they're talking about going after those things outside the 22 items. It's the same thing that happened in this arbitration back in 1992. All right? Since the mid-1960s, the parties have encouraged the execution of LMOUs. Those agreements include a wide variety of clauses. Some serve to implement the general provisions of the National Agreement. Others dealt with the subject matter not covered by the National Agreement. The parties specifically contemplated LMOUs which went beyond the terms of the National Agreement. For instance, Article 7, Section 13C of the 1968 National Agreement prohibited local clauses which repeat, reword, paraphrase, or conflict with the National Agreement, but added that this is not to be interpreted to mean that local negotiations are to be restricted to only those options provided in articles in the National Agreement. This history was not ignored in the 1971 National Agreement, the first contract following the Postal Reorganization Act and the creation of the collective bargaining process now in effect. Article 30 stated that it was impractical to set forth in the agreement all detailed matters relating to local conditions, and that therefore further negotiations regarding local conditions will be required with respect to local installations, post offices, and facilities. It went on to say that any agreement reached shall be incorporated in Memoranda of Understanding. It provided that no such LMOU shall be inconsistent or in conflict with this agreement. It provided for arbitration of impasse reached in local negotiations. And arbitration could then be invoked neither by the union or the Postal Service. The 1971 local negotiations resulted in a huge number of impasses. More than 100,000 of them were appealed to arbitration. Obviously, the parties were unable to dispose of this volume of disputes. This difficulty prompted changes in the 1973 National Agreement. The parties decided to limit the number of impasses by restricting local implementation to 22 specific items enumerated below. Thus, the local negotiators were required to deal with any or all of these 22 items, but were not required to discuss anything else. The parties provided for arbitration of impasses where the appeal to arbitration was timely and was authorized by the National Union President. This impasse arbitration process could not be invoked by the Postal Service. The board ruled in the Postal Service's favor. New language which was added to Article 30A stating that presently effective LMOUs could be changed not only by mutual agreement pursuant to the local implementation procedure, but also as a result of an arbitration award or settlement arising from either party's impasse of an item from the presently effective LMOU. New language was added to Article 30C stating that proposals remaining in dispute may be submitted to final and binding arbitration not only by one of the National Union Presidents but also by the Assistant Postmaster General, Labor Relations. And finally, a new Article 30F was written to establish a different burden of proof on the Postal Service with respect to certain proposals it submits to impasse arbitration. F. Where the Postal Service, pursuant to Section C, submits a proposal remaining in dispute to arbitration, which proposal seeks to change a presently effective LMOU, the Postal Service shall have the burden of establishing that continuation of the existent provision would represent an unreasonable burden to the USPS. The parties agree that the Postal Service, like the unions, can now invoke impasse arbitration over any subject matter within the 22 items listed in Article 30B. The Postal Service, however, believes it may also invoke arbitration on subject matter presently in an LMOU, but beyond the scope of these 22 items. The unions disagree. It was this disagreement which prompted the present grievance. And I'll go to the last page. The board's concern was whether to provide management with the same right of access to impasse arbitration as was then enjoyed by the unions. Equal access was the issue. Nothing in the board's words suggests that it believed the Postal Service was seeking to add to the 22 specific items in Article 30B or otherwise expand the impasse arbitration agenda. Indeed, the Postal Service concedes that it has no right to submit to impasse arbitration a new LMOU clause whose subject matter is outside the 22 items. It insists, however, that it now may go to impasse arbitration over an old, that is, an existing LMOU clause outside the 22 items. This distinction may have been raised during the negotiations which preceded the 1990 interest arbitration, but it certainly was not raised in the argument made to the board. For these reasons, my ruling is that the Article 30 changes simply provide the Postal Service with equal access. The Postal Service's access to impasse arbitration should be neither greater nor smaller than the union's access under prior national agreements. Because the unions were not entitled before 1990 to go to impasse arbitration on subject matter outside the 22 items, the Postal Service does not have that right either, and the grievance is granted. So, National Arbitrator Mittenthal stated, the Postal Service wanted to go out into arbitration for those things outside the 22 items. They go to arbitration in front of National Arbitrator Mittenthal. He takes all those things in consideration. The decision it's just like 9 pages long. So if you want to print it out and read it, it's a very good decision. But he took all those arguments into consideration. And he said that we will not go to arbitration over anything outside the 22 items. And it's in the contract. It's in Article 30. So if management comes into you during your LMOU and they said, hey, these pizza parties, we're going to do away with them, they cannot impasse that. That cannot be impassed. Anything outside those 22 items cannot be impassed. I would not address them. I would say, hey, we've been eating pizza for every other Friday for 6 years. We're going to keep eating pizza. There's nothing they can do except be bitter. Okay? So that's just one of the things I wanted to touch on, because when I'm reading those minutes, they keep talking about things outside the 22 items. We need to nip that in the bud. They cannot impasse that to arbitration. They can't send that up if it's outside those 22 items. There's the decision right there I read to you. National Arbitrator Mittenthal took all their arguments into consideration, and he said, no, we're not going to take anything outside those 22 items to arbitration, okay? So there's my episodes, an hour and 20 minutes. I'm fixing to get my ass kicked because it's my anniversary. So Wednesday, I'll be on with the Lion's Den. We're going to get back into 6-day counts, okay? I love y'all very much, City Letter Carriers. I love you very much. Seeing us stand up together like we're doing is something special. I've not seen it in my 32 years. Seeing us stand up together is something special. And there's nowhere I'd rather be. Nowhere I'd rather be. I'm going to get my light blues on tomorrow. And it's supposed to be a thunderstorm, and I'll be out there in it with y'all. Okay? Next year, we're changing shit. Next year, we're changing the culture of a union. We're changing the culture on the workroom floor. And we're still going to address those that are coming after us. All right? We're going to handle all of those things. We're just getting started. We're just getting started. But it starts with you, this movement. Unlike anything that's ever happened before in any union, is the movement of the City Letter Carrier. They will write books about us. They will write books about what's going on. Everybody is taking notice. And I couldn't be more excited to be in it with you. All right? I'll talk to y'all Wednesday. Y'all have a fantastic week. And I love you, and I'll talk to you then. All right? Bye.